have a cuckoo clock.
Oh, cool. All right, we're live. Cool. All right. Thank you all for coming in. I'm gonna wait a little bit more, see what happens. But welcome everyone. I'm here with Miss Eileen. Say hi, Miss Eileen.
Hi.
Okay, so we're gonna wait another minute here before we begin. Thanks again, everyone, for coming in. Let's see here. If you have any outstanding questions on English language arts and how to study during this quarantine, please feel free to drop a comment or a question. But in the meantime, we'll get started in about 10 seconds here. All right. So Miss Eileen, tell me more about yourself. What do you do and how long have you been doing it?
Hi, thank you for having me here today. My name is Eileen and I worked for the school district for about 5 years, 6 years, and then I went into private practice and I see students one-on-one, and I've also designed a bridge program where we help students learn to best succeed.
Very cool, thank you. Okay, so why is English language arts crucial for success in life, Miss Eileen?
Well, we're a very language-based society. And language basically allows us to communicate. When we communicate in different ways. We communicate by writing and reading and just the normal interactions we have with people. Whether we're in quarantine now, the interactions we have through media expressions are just as valuable as when we write papers, or when we talk to people, or when we email or text them, or apply for jobs, or apply for college. Language skills, because we're a language-based society, really identify who we are and what we represent, and we're judged on that. And because we're now based more and more online, we are what we are on paper. So people don't know much about us except what they see before them. So it's very important for us to look our best, where we used to do it in interviews, how we look on paper, which is usually one of the first steps when someone actually makes a decision about us. So when I was growing up, I would meet people face to face. It was very important to dress your best, talk to people, and form that first impression. What you are in writing and the way you speak is that first impression. And if it's not up to par in a competitive society, it's more of an eliminating force than it is an entering force. So what we have to do is teach our students how to look their best on paper. And that's through English. It's important in school for grades. It's important for college when you decide on a career. And it's absolutely important in a work environment. When you have to present, you have to talk, you have to persuade, and you actually want promotions. And people know whether you know your English by your grammar and your vocabulary. And people judge you by that. Whether they say they don't or not, they do judge your English skills. And as a result, you want to put the best foot forward. When English improves, every other facet in life improves. Math, everything is, there's questions in math. Science, when you have to write hypotheses. In social studies or in history, when you have to do historical writing, and definitely in essays, when you have to present your analysis to teachers. So when English skills improve, your overall demeanor improves with it and the way that you're perceived by the world.
All right, very cool. I think we have a question here. Can you see the questions, Miss Eileen?
No, should I? Let's see, I have a question and answer. Okay, let's see what I've got. It is also important for building a successful relationship. Yes, it is. Thank you. Can I speak it or should I type it? I guess I can.
Go ahead and speak it. I can
address that. Thank you. You know, relationships are a lot more by not so much what you say, but what you don't say. It's reading between the lines. And we teach that in literature when we read novels. It's not so much what an author is writing that we want to analyze. It's what's said between the lines that we have to analyze and put our English skills to use. And that's why learning literature in high school and elementary school and middle school is so important, because it's not always obvious. We have to analyze it and dig deep. Whoever asked that question, that's a great question. Thank you so much. So yes, English is important in building relationships. It's important in building just about anything because they are building blocks. Absolutely correct. Let's see, I think I may have another question here. Nope, that's it.
All right, thank you for the question. So I think I just posted a response there. Okay, on to the next topic. So Miss Eileen, how do we practice writing, grammar, vocabulary, and reading comprehension, both online and in person?
Okay, that's probably the big question that I think every English teacher is faced with today. English teachers generally have to be extremely organized because they usually get a flood of material to read and essays. A good essay to read usually takes between 45 minutes to an hour. And that's when we can go over it, correct it for grammar, spelling, word choice, and we can also correct it for content. So organization is key. I would also like to state that the best interactions, the best teaching that I have found and I believe in are face-to-face, when you can be right up front and personal with your student. And that's when you can actually go over the words and have that dialogue. Writing and reading are all about the ingredients of grammar and vocabulary. I want everybody to think of English as life. When you think of breathing, you're inhaling. And when you think of writing, you're exhaling. Writing is the ultimate form of creativity. It is super hard to write if you don't understand what you read. So reading and writing are like breathing in and breathing out, inhaling and exhaling. So we teach grammar, not the old-fashioned way, which is drill and kill. We teach grammar in context. We do it by practice. How do you learn to drive a car? By practice. How do you learn to play an instrument? By practice. You manipulate the language and you learn the language and you learn the nuances of language by actually correcting and understanding grammar. Grammar is probably the most structural part of English. English is a very subjective discipline. Grammar has many rules that we can abide by. Unfortunately, all those rules usually have a lot of exceptions to go with it. But if you know the rules and you learn the exception, the grammar comes into play and it makes sense and it makes you appear smarter, it makes you write smarter, and it makes you act smarter. Again, people judge your grammar. They know when you've been educated in English and they know when you're not educated in English. How do we teach vocabulary? We teach vocabulary in context. What I do is I normally have students, depending on, doesn't depend on their age, always keep a dictionary and they do sight words, words that they're not familiar with, that they want to learn. Why is that important? For writing. It's important also when you want to pass an SAT or an ACT or a PSAT. So all you parents out there that have grammar, that have elementary school children and have middle school children, your children will at one point take standardized tests. Now, I don't believe in quick fixes. I don't believe, and I'm called in many times, get my kid to do well on that test. And I do, and they get a good grade. But that doesn't mean that they learn skills. It doesn't mean that they're going to be able to write better. It just means that in a very short period of time, I satisfied them passing that test. What I want to do is build skills. I want them to own it. I want them to, when they finish working with me and in my program, to be able to use that at higher level. Why? because skill building means that you can learn new material. If you memorize something for a test, it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to learn new material. It means that it's in short-term memory. How long does short-term memory last? Probably about 8 days. What does that mean? If you ask somebody that just got it in short-term memory a question about something they had on a test, they're going to forget it. When they go to a bridge program or they work with me and you ask them something, they recall it because now they own it. And that's what learning and education should be about, not where I put on a fire suit and put out fires and get them to do well for a short period of time. It means relationship building. It means learning the language, working with the language, embracing the language, and learning how to make the language work for you from now into adulthood and beyond. How do I teach writing? I teach writing by writing. There's no way anybody's going to write unless they write. And what that means is they're going to have to interpret what they read so we can output it on paper or on text. So it's a continuing process of interacting with reading material, which helps you write. And honestly, the first time my students write for me the way they should, it's very uncomfortable for them. When they start writing it and they know what to expect and what to put into a paragraph, just like a mathematical equation, when they have a formula, I have to include this and I cannot include this, and they have structure, they can write better. And the more they write even better. And then they write with creativity after that. So first, we get them to satisfy the needs of academic writing. And then we get them to create their own way of academic writing. End result, they become better readers and writers. And that's what English is all about. I think I have a question. Let's see what I've got here. Okay, both my kids love to read books. After books, take AR quizzes. Does that mean I do not have to worry about their reading and vocabulary? It doesn't mean that you don't have to worry, you still do. Because an AR quiz doesn't mean they've analyzed it. It just means that they are able to report it to you. Reporting something is a book report. An essay is an analysis. So it's not about worrying, it's about asking detailed questions. It's not about what did this person do and what did this person say and what's this about. It's about what do you think about it? How do you relate to the character? How would the ending be different if? How does that character appear to me? What do I have in common with the character? And also, the reason I have another question, people hate writing. I'm seeing the same trend, yes. People hate writing because it's seen as a chore. People don't write as often as they should. And when they write, they get it back and they establish very bad habits. Why? Because the teacher that's correcting it is human. If they have 30, 40, 50 essays, and when they go to middle school, each class has 30 students times 6 classes, is 180 essays. Somebody cannot possibly go through that with every essay and look for every problem that the student had. So what we have to do as teachers in the district is we have to decide what we're looking for. So a student may be doing something else wrong for a period of time and think that that's okay and it gets by and it goes under the radar. It's not okay. It just means that they got through with it. AR tests measure whether a student either can do good vocabulary or it means that they can do good multiple choice. They have a choice to pick, but it does not mean that they've analyzed it. They just know what the book is about. In middle school and high school, we go on to second level thinking. In elementary school, it's first level thinking. It's very concrete. I read it, I see the answer in bold, and I have a word bank. Therefore, I got the answer correct. In middle school, high school, college, and adulthood, we go to second and third level thinking. That means it's inference. Why is the answer not shown to me? What did I analyze about it? And then when you finally get to third level thinking, not only can I analyze it, but I can actually connect it to my prior learning. So the reason nobody likes to write is because it's usually seen as a chore. People don't write often, and many times people don't write about what they really enjoy writing about. So that's a problem. We need to get students to write more often. We need to get them to express themselves with good vocabulary, grammar skills, and make it into a creative exercise, not a taking out the trash and cleaning up the dishes exercise. And that will help the children of America.
Absolutely. Okay, what do we think about education for the future?
Well, education for the future is going to go through some dramatic changes, which we're beginning to see now, but we've been very unprepared for. The educational system is now faced with many new choices that we didn't have before. Again, I just want to say, I think the best education is face-to-face. I think building relationships with people is better face-to-face. I think interviews are better face-to-face. I think they're game changers. I would much prefer to go over to somebody and write their essay and show them what they did wrong than to have to show them online, but I can do that as well. So what changes are we going to see? We are going to see choices of whether you want education online or whether you want education in person or whether you want a menu of both. If we want to work online, again, we have to be extremely organized in the fact that we need to have what we're doing for summer programs this year. Everything will be downloaded before class begins, so that the very young child or the child that's not really good technologically will have all the materials in front of him, her, and they'll be able to follow with the teacher and then submit online. The writing we're doing 5-paragraph essays now. I have a tool which is like a doodle book, so I can actually analyze all those things so the student can see my corrections in live time. And then I also believe that class time is not the only time children learn. So we have check-ins. So I will meet with them online and go through their individual needs, but I also want to meet with them during the week when they're on their own, or their parents can't help them, or they can't, or the parents don't want to help them. I can certainly devote 15 minutes per child to actually talk with them online and go through whatever needs or jump starts they have. And that will also increase writing proficiency. My kids in 5th and 6th grade, for the first time, had a 5-paragraph essay, which was not treated like a book report. It was treated like an essay on 2 novels that they read. They are so extremely proud of their essays, and they know exactly how to find quotes, contextual evidence, how to do a thesis. They know how to pull it together. They know the difference between an intro paragraph and a concluding paragraph and what we need to put in our body paragraphs. They are just so proud that they did it. They're actually excited. Yes, they're excited about their essays, but more so, their parents are excited about their essays because they had no idea that their child was capable of doing this at age 10, 11, and 12. And yes, they can. And yes, they did. And what we're doing now is we're actually using a rubric where they're learning how to analyze other people's work, because I believe in learning through peer editing. So we're going to take everybody's essay with a rubric in our hands, which is downloaded by Sunday, and we're going to rate the essays with the content of the essays. And everybody's actually very excited. So what I used to see when I used to go into a classroom and I said, okay, everybody, put everything away. We're going to write now. And their faces drop to the floor and the clouds of doom surface on top. Now, when it's everybody, we're going to look at your essay and we're going to analyze it. Yay! Oh, wow, can I go first? Oh, wow, wow, wow. And that's what we're seeing. So we're doing it. We're actually making writing important, fun, and exciting. It's online, we're doing this. So online, what do we do for new education? We need new tools. We need teachers that are very good with technology. We need quiet places. We need to place importance, but also we need rules of conduct. Not everybody can talk at the same time. No one can eat during class or turn their mics off or their pictures off and take a bathroom break or a little walk to the refrigerator. Rules of conduct. Just like you have it in a classroom, you need it on an online classroom. How do I check? Well, we figured that out. So looking at students' essays, I often can't see my kids in class. So what I've done is I've created a split screen. On one half is my essay, and then I can see everybody and what they're doing. So nobody can leave without me challenging where you're going and what. So I have complete control over my class at the same time that I'm actually analyzing essays, going through vocabulary, and checking their grammar. Just like I would if I was standing in the middle of a classroom, and it's working. So we always go through rules of conduct. I can see their hand. I can see them when they're typing. They've learned to mute themselves, so we are not overpowered by the clicking. And it's actually working out. We're just getting better and better. So summer school will now be downloaded materials, rules of conduct, and hopefully we can actually address students that are not just in the immediate area. We're going all the way out to New York. We can go anywhere we want and get our kids in. So we can now address all children everywhere. So it's actually working. When I see children in class, we have the advantage of actually touching our materials. And I can actually speak with them and smile at them. But I can actually do that now too. And I can check. So when we're working together, we actually check in on everybody, make sure all the mics are on, everybody's with me, and questions are being asked, and students are very much participating. Does anybody have any questions or comments about that? Okay. Now the other thing, someone also said that they're getting used to some online instruction. I think, again, that's going to be another change because that was the question. Parents can also be at home with their kids when they're learning. I think traffic is going to get minimalized because we're not all on the road to get multiple kids, multiple places, multiple times. I think we are learning how to do both and live up to the demands of the student and the family. And I think it's a credit to teachers everywhere. I think no one really expected this, but every single teacher rallied up. We all are doing videos. We all are figuring out Zoom materials. We are all downloading. We are all reaching out, meeting with parents. Every single teacher is a warrior here. We're educating our kids. We're keeping it going. Just another point, the SATs, the PSATs, and the ACTs, which your children will be taking in high school, will also dramatically change. I think there's going to be an option for it to be online because I think getting everybody into one large room, we're always going to be very cautious about that now. So I think the demands and the competition is going to increase. So I think we need to find different avenues of actually teaching our children in person and online. And I'm growing and learning all the time. And I'm just amazed at what my electronics can do and really how simple they have become. I think we're getting far less afraid of these things. Any questions or comments? Let's see. I do have a question. I think I answered. Which do I prefer? Do I prefer online or in person? Well, I'm still pretty much old school, but I'm in a new school atmosphere. I'm kind of both. I think good teaching is good teaching, however it's delivered. And I think online, it could be a very good experience. And and we have to accommodate new methods of teaching our kids and new methods of actually making sure that they're learning and that they're getting it. So we've got to perfect our game. We have to have materials that are accessible for students, whether they're technology oriented or not, and for parents as well to help their students, and a place where students to turn in their work, which may promote the ability for them to turn it in on time, which is another life skill. In person, I love when I can smile at somebody and write on their paper and actually look them straight in the eye and say, do you have any questions? And I see them light up and smile. And I walk away and they think of something and I can come right back again. So I kind of like that too. Where are we going? Well, we're going for the 21st century student and we're getting there. We've got a 21st century teacher.
That's great. Thank you, Eileen.
Thank you.
All right. If we have any more questions, feel free to ask now. Otherwise, I think we'll go ahead and end it off here. If you would like to reach Eileen, she's available at info@talanook.com. I'll put the email in the chat here. And we'll be also sending out some material from when you signed up for this webinar and related to the English Bridge program as well. So again, thank you all for coming and have a good rest of your Saturday. Thank you, Eileen.
Bye.